Pacific Nations Cup final, folks, and it is Fiji who once again get their hands on the trophy, coming back from an early deficit and surviving a late resurgence from the Japanese. 33 unanswered points from Fiji in the middle of the game. See them get it done. At times, they were absolutely flying, busting tackles out wide for fun. But Japan, when it looked like they were going to get potentially rolled, like last year's Pacific Nations Cup final, did manage to cut back into it. I feel like a few of those penalties and cards did not help Fiji's cause, but ultimately it was a pretty cracking Pacific Nations Cup final. And you feel like both these teams need more big games because these are two pretty good sides. We'll go through some of the key events and stats from the match. You guys can let us know your thoughts. Obviously, the third match in a string of matches. First was Samoa up against Chile in their Rugby World Cup qualifying first leg. Then Tonga up against Canada in the third place match in the Pacific Nations Cup. This was the final. There's a fairly big Fijian presence in the crowd as well. You could certainly hear them. But it was Japan. Japan who took their first chance, really, attacking line-out ball 5 meters out in Fiji's 22. And it's a nice little play. Warner Durns takes the ball at line-up time. They get it down to Fakatava, who goes blindside, pops it over to Era, the hooker, who barges over for a try, and converted by Lee, who really had the kicking boots on today. And he's been kicking well all Pacific Nations Cup, to be fair. 7-0 to Japan. It's a cracking start. And Fiji, when they had their first opportunities, were not clinical. Like, when it got going, Fiji were really good, but at the start of the match, it just was not clicking. They got their entry into Japan's half. They ended up knocking it on from the resulting scrum. They got penalised. So it wasn't really the ideal start for Fiji. Japan didn't have everything their own way, though, because they lost Fakatava and Kida, their number 8 and their left winger, to HIAs. Although they're both passed, it's still disruptive, like within the first 10 minutes to lose 2 of your players off the field. And then Fiji had a scrum in Japan's 22 not long later, so it's a second chance. And they end up going left wing and into touch. So it felt like maybe Japan have wrestled the momentum and will look to put on a lead. It did look like Eda was going to get his second try, the Japanese hooker, who was very busy around the park. When they pinched, it was him again. He pinched loose Fiji line-up balls from phases. It looked like he was going to reach out and dot it down. Referee initially gave it, but TMO ruled that the try had not been scored because it was just short of the line, but they had advantage, the Japanese. They go back and slot the penalty. So 10-0. Fiji not taking their chances. Japan looking pretty slick. But then there's to be a shift immediately from the restart. Fiji send Longanamasi to tap back the kick, which he does. Japan will not be happy with that restart. Just being unable to secure the ball. It was all the initiative with the Fijians from that one. Thanakai Vata, the loosey, picks it up from his ankles. It's a heck of a take. And then he pops it to Voasese, who is able to get the first of Fiji's try. So it's immediate hit back after Japan had just got 3. Fiji will take 7. Thank you very much. So we're down to a 3-point game, 10 points to 7. And just Fiji on turnover ball became very, very dangerous. First you had Maui, the loose head prop, not only pouncing on loose ball, but then flicking the pass behind his back. It is pretty madness stuff. Then you got the lock Voasese again in a bit of space. And Tabuavo is able to finish off the try for Fiji. They go in front, 12 points to 10. That one's unconverted, but from nothing, Fiji has suddenly got themselves in the lead with 2 pretty good plays. And then they just really start flying. Cross kick from Muntz to Wanga out right. He beats defenders, offloads to Tabuavo again. And then he gets tackled but still able to pop it to Ikanaveri, the captain, who goes over for a try. 19 points to 10. And nothing's gone right for Japan. It was Fiji making the errors earlier, but it's now Japan. Like, they mishandle a Fijian kick. It almost leads to Kuravoli getting a try, but he gets his jersey just grabbed by Fujiwara, the number 9. So it was a 9-on-9 battle. He probably could have scored that one, but he is just stopped, and Fiji end up getting held up. But it doesn't matter because they score. They score a minute later. It's Nasova with the big step, beats about 3 tacklers, puts in a big fend. It is a lovely, lovely try from Fiji, but Japan will be concerned with their missed tackle count. I mean, I know the Fijian guys are tough to bring down, especially out wide, but you've got to do better than that at this level of the game. So Fiji go into the sheds with a 26-10 lead, which is not bad, seeing as they started the game 10-0 down. Line breaks is 6-1 to Fiji. The offloads is 6-2 to Fiji, and Japan's tackle rate is at 78%, which is pretty catastrophically low. Like, Fiji is only 81, so it's only marginally better. They also will not be happy with it, but at least they're in the 80s. 80s is the bare minimum. Yeah, it's getting pretty bad for Japan. And then it gets worse in the second half because they're falling off more tackles. Nosova down the left wing, again, breaking tackles. Kuravoli with the support line. Again, I don't think he made the best decision. He gets caught, but he's still able to find the ball back to Nosova, who goes over for the try. 33 points to 10. Like, this is 33 unanswered points. They are busting Japanese tackles like they are schoolboys, and this looks like it's going to be 40, 50 points. But that's the final scoring for Fiji. So that's why I got to give a bit of credit to Japan, and maybe Fiji won't be happy with the way they finish the game, because if you're going to go 33 unanswered points, you need to kind of keep the foot on the throat and put them to the sword, but it doesn't happen. The Japanese guys are able to get a much-needed reply to get some momentum back. And it was interesting because it was Osada, the Japanese right winger, trying to take the Fijians on the outside, which is not an easy thing to do. He does get caught, but he's able to find Nakakusa, the fullback, with the pop pass inside, so that is a try to make it 33-17. And Japan, I feel like, just start playing better rugby. They started to make their tackles. They're starting to push the Fijian guys back. They're doing the pop offloads of their own. The offload count finishes pretty even in this game. And then Mata gets a yellow card, the Fijian Lucy, for a cynical breakdown infringement on his own line. So what can Japan do with the extra man? Versus 14 men, they do get the maul going, which sees that hooker Era go over his second try to make it a much closer game, 33 points to 24. And then Maui gets yellow carded at scrum time for Fiji's repeated infringements. That one I find a bit bizarre because referees tend to have general play infringements in their mind and then scrum infringements as kind of separate things. That's the way it usually happens. The refs will keep count of this prop keeps getting pinged. If he doesn't change his behavior, he's going to get yellow carded. Or your team keeps conceding penalties on defense at the breakdown, offside, or whatever it is. If they keep doing it, one's going to go to the bin. But they're all penalties, but they seem to be counted separately. But the ref's just nah, it's another penalty, you're gone. So there were 13 men for a short time, Fiji, which was kind of an unusual one for that call. But yeah, the ref did single out Maui as conceding too many penalties. So interesting call for Japan to go for the 3, despite having the extra man on the field, but that made it 33-27. That's the final scoring of the game, and we've still got, 20-odd minutes to go. We did get a long stoppage as Fiji had to go uncontested scrums because they had kind of ran out of props, basically, and it always has to be one of those situations where the ref needs to work out how many players need to stay on the field and whatnot, so Ikanaveri has to come back on uncontested scrums. But yeah, credit to Fiji, despite the fact that Japan have come back into the game, got it back within touching distance. They started winning penalties to breakdown, shut down that Japanese momentum. Japan basically have to chase the game. Well, Fiji, to be fair, almost kind of got the nail in the coffin, but Dearns had a good intercept, so credit to him. But Japan chasing the game from their own half eventually get turned over at the breakdown, and that's pretty much game. Fiji are able to see it out. So Fiji, pretty good value for their win. But they'll not be happy with the way they started, and they'll be a little bit disappointed not to have scored after that early second half try. So still, Japan ended up with the possession and territory, but Fiji got the run meters 489 to 394. Defenders beatings 27-25 to Fiji, so not that much in that. But clean breaks 9-4 to Fiji. Turnovers 5-2 to Fiji. The one that didn't win is the discipline. Penalty count was 13-5. Against Fiji and 2 yellow cards. They did play 20 minutes with a man down. Nosova got man of the match, 95 meters, 7 defenders beaten. That guy is a proper unit. Era, the hooker for Japan, he was really busy around the park as well. Beat 5 defenders himself, had 13 carries. Fakatava made 14 tackles, but it was like the Japanese midfield and outside backs missing way too many tackles. against Fiji. Fiji guys kept losing their bloody jersey numbers off the back of their jerseys. They kept falling off. But the one guy who wasn't falling off was Vosese. He had 13 tackles. And yeah, that is the Pacific Nations Cup done for another year. You guys let us know your thoughts. It's an interesting competition, but it still kind of always feels like it's going to come down to Fiji and Japan. Those two teams are both at a different level from the other four in the Pacific Nations Cup. And yeah, it's just one where you feel like Japan and Fiji's won it 2 years in a row now. They're kind of, I guess, in a similar position to Georgia. Georgia always win the second-tier European competition, so we'd love to see these teams getting more games up against the kind of higher-ranked teams, but this has certainly done Fiji's push for those top rankings in the world rankings no harm. And they get themselves a trophy. You guys let us know your thoughts on the game. Subscribe to the channel if you've enjoyed the Pacific Nations Cup coverage. I've enjoyed covering it, even if it doesn't get hundreds of thousands of views like the Springboks beating the All Blacks. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed it. It's been a pleasure to have you guys here. Take care, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.